So when you export a PDF with bleed, generally what you'll notice is that the canvas that you've created is slightly bigger when you export it as a PDF. So I'll just demonstrate this as an example. So this is a document that I've created as an example, but I'll start this one from scratch. So you can see that the bleed on the outside edge is in red, but the canvas is the area in white. So you can see the gap between the two will be the bleed that I've indicated when starting the document from scratch. So I'll just show this. So you just go new. Let's say for example, I'll just go print A4 and just go portrait. So always remember your bleed setting is here when you do start a new document, or you can add it in once you've started. So in this instance, I'm going to change it from points to mils because my printer requires 3 to 5 mil bleed as a requirement to print. So in this instance, to be safe, I'll just do 5 mil. And I'll leave the color mode as CMYK because it's going to print, and then 300 ppi. And that's it. I'll just create that. So you can see it creates a document that has the red line. So the red line basically means that is the bleed setting. So that is the maximum edge where your artwork should go, basically. So say for example, I want to make this a poster. So what I'm going to do, just for continuity, I'm just going to paste this here to make it easier. So I've got my poster, it's ready to go. Your bleed will be still that area in red. To make this a bit more straightforward, what I'll do is I'll copy the similar sort of blue from a previous file, paste that here. And I'll shift that to the back. You can see the blue is a bit dull because this is a CMYK workspace, whereas that one was RGB. Therefore, it appears a bit dull when I've pasted it. So just keep that in mind when working between the two file types as well. Okay, so yeah. And I'll just make this go all the way to the red edge. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, cool. You won't really tell that bleed has been added because all it will be just is an additional area that's blue to the edge of the artboard. A good way to maybe indicate this is maybe I'll just create like a red rectangle just to show you the depth of the size, or the size, or the additional size that will be exported. As an example, so I'll double it. So I'll use that width, and I'll use that width again just to show what it looks like. Espresso, cool, and we'll just do that. So what I'll do is I'll export this. So file, export as, and what I'll do is I'll change it to a PDF. Oh, sorry. Apologies. I'll do save as in PDF. Always remember PDF is save as instead of export. Just keep that in mind. And then, yep, so I'll save that on the desktop. Don't need to use artboards or anything, just go save as PDF. And it will give you the option in marks and bleed. So this is where you'll choose your document settings. So you can either export the document with bleed or without. So in this instance, we need it for the printer. We're just going to use with bleed settings. So you can remember at the beginning, I created the document with 5 mil bleed. So this is the default setting it will automatically choose in this instance. We'll untick printer's marks for now, but we'll just keep the bleed and I'll show you what that looks like. And just leave everything else. So we'll save that as a PDF. So keep this red, the width of this red in mind, just to show you what the bleed will look like. Okay, here we go. So I'll open this up, and so hopefully you'll be able to understand the bleed that this gets exported with. Okay. All right. So you can see there is two there's like a double width of this red tab that gets exported. So you can see that if it didn't get exported with bleed, you would only see this part of the tab, whereas with bleed, you'll see this part of the red tab, if that kind of makes sense. So that's with both tabs exported. So this is a document with 5mm bleed. This is ready to be printed off. So if you got this printed off, most likely the printer would cut it off around here in the middle somewhere, likely, if not around that red mark. So I'll show you this with just the bleed. So the red tab will be demonstrating where the bleed is, and I'll just show you this as an example as well. So what I'll do is I'll save this document as again, but with bleed. I'll just name it 2. And this document should save with bleed again, and I'll leave the marks out again. So I'll just demonstrate this. This is just to show you what the bleed will look like on a final document. So once this exports, we can go back out. So hopefully this version will just show that as well. Yeah, just bear with me. This PDF takes a while to open up documents once you've exported them as well. Depending on how big the file size is, Adobe takes a little bit of time. Okay, so yeah, so you can see now this is a document just showing this tab with bleed and a little bit inside the canvas, and this document is showing how that bleed, this is basically that bleed border, if you can kind of name it that. So you can see how those two versions work. So essentially this is with bleed and this is with bleed as well, but it's just showing you how much space is adding to the edge of the document. So the simple way to kind of put this is whenever you save the document or create the document, you can always create your bleed here, and this is generally what will happen when you export the document. So just keep in mind there's that imaginary red line around the document when you've exported the document with bleed basically, and this red tab is a guide to show you what it will look like. If you've got like complex artwork and it goes all the way to the edge, it will kind of show that, but you'll notice that when you export the document with bleed as opposed to without, which will look like this. So you can see that the bleed is gone and that red tab is just showing just an area inside the document. Hopefully this example makes it a bit easier, but yeah, again, just experiment, see how you go. It's not a complex idea to grasp, but it's something that is important for printing and getting things print ready commercially as well as at home as well. Alright, if you've got any questions, just let me know. If you're after one-on-one coaching, just let me know and I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks.